Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, great to be with you here on this lovely, lovely week 3 morning.
It's been a rainy week here in Denver, Eric.
Yeah.
It's nice to be inside the studio. It's nice and warm and cozy in here. Talk a little Broncos football.
That's right. You think Broncos country is sad? Is that the...
No, I don't think so.
Just a little dreary.
It's been a little bit dreary, but I think there's sunshine in the forecast.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Eric, I should also mention that trying out for podcast supervisor, Ben Swanson, also joining us here in studio.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. What are you doing here?
Well, I just kind of stay here, and then that way you don't really have a choice.
Got it. Well, we like having you here, Swanson.
Thank you.
And, of course, Swanson has spent countless hours this week screening the voicemails, and we have one for later in the show.
Just one.
I think just one.
Just one. You got to...
standards.
Yeah.
You know.
Quality assurance.
Yeah. From 500, we go down to 1.
It's tough.
Wow, last week it was 33, I think you said.
It was a big,
this was
boost.
a big week.
Yeah.
There was a lot. I think you heard the fans in the stadium. They're fired up.
Yeah, they were counting up the number of voicemails they were going to send.
Counting up?
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Counting down the play clock. Counting up the voicemails.
Thank you for explaining Swanson's joke.
I think I got it. Eric, let's tell NZ Nation what we're going to talk about here on this episode of the Neutral Zone. We'll look ahead to this matchup a little bit with the 49ers. Of course, talking about the fans getting a little bit upset last week, some of the penalties, some of the operational issues. Just how easy is this to fix? Because when you hear from Nathaniel Hackett, he's taken a lot of responsibility for this. And he says, look, we've been talking about this all week. We're going to get this corrected. Is this something that can just get done in a week?
We'll chat about it.
We'll talk about it. We'll preview some specific areas of the matchup that we're going to be watching. The first couple of weeks, not too many huge stars out on the field for the Broncos opponents. I mean, sure, there's DK Metcalf was out there. Jamal Adams was out there for a little bit. Last week it was Brandon Cooks. This week, a little bit of a different deal.
A lot of star power for the 49ers.
Plus, it's Sunday Night Football. I mean, the whole country's going to be watching this game. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth.
That's right.
No more slide for Chris Collinsworth.
Slide is gone.
Yeah, as we heard this week, Al Michaels used to do this sort of opening monologue. In comes Chris, and it's sort of a moment. It's nice.
Yeah. You doing okay?
Mike does not do the monologue, so it's a little bit of a letdown.
It's tough.
Also, as we care about here on this show, QZs. You don't have yours on this week, but, typically Al and Chris would wear a nice QZ.
That's right.
I haven't seen it yet this year, so.
It's still early. I think that's
changing. It's changing. It's changing. It's a changing world.
That's right. It's just week 2.
Then we'll talk about what to expect from this game in terms of just where the Broncos are in terms of what a win or a loss would mean. Moving forward, this is without a doubt the biggest test this season, Eric. So would a win, like a significant win, mean everything's okay? Would a loss mean that the sun's not going to come up the next day? We'll just talk about the significance of this game a little bit.
Yeah. Biggest test so far, of course.
So far.
Yes.
Not for the whole year.
Probably not, but you never really know.
That's true. I mean, the 49ers were in the NFC Championship game last year, so let's not, I think
a good football team.
When we look at the schedule, Eric, when it first came out, one of your favorite days of the entire year.
Of course.
We talked about, going to Baltimore is going to be huge. These divisional games are going to be big. We didn't think maybe the 49ers game was going to be that big, probably mostly because we were expecting Trey Lance to play in this one. So
that's right. Yeah, I think maybe you thought it would take them a few weeks with Trey Lance to figure things out. Maybe you were catching them at the right time. things change once the season starts and you figure out which games are going to be the big games, which ones aren't. And this one now looks like a big game.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy G stepped into the lineup last week and just was ready to rock. So those are our topics here on this episode. We'll have a voicemail a little bit later on. But Eric, this is an interactive show. I mean, we're here for the fans. One way that fans can interact with this show is through the Broncos official YouTube page. We're live there every Monday from 5:30 to about 6:15.
Right about then.
We do that show from Breckenridge Brewery's farm home.
That's right.
That's in Littleton here in the metro area off of Santa Fe and Brewery Lane. Come out and join us if you're living in the area. If you don't live in the area, fly out here, check out the game, and then come the next day. Yeah, just come out. But if you really can't make it, we're live on the YouTube channel. Okay, we read all the comments.
Of course we do.
This is
a lot of good questions.
We're here. Hey, how did the hair look? What did you think about the fits?
Right. Should Ben Swanson be here?
Should Ben Swanson even be here? Some of the comments from last week. Adam kissed. You guys were fire emoji this episode. Cracking me up. Love your show.
What did he kiss?
What? It said you guys were cracking me up.
Okay.
Fire emoji. Fire emoji.
Got it.
Yeah. Yamil Poot. Audio quality. Thank you, guys.
Much better.
Yeah, you like the audio quality here in the podcast studio. And then Sakmar01. There's no such thing as a must-win game in the second week of the season. Stop this foolishness. That was a must-win game.
A lot of foolishness going on here. That's never going to stop. Yeah, history doesn't look fondly upon teams that start 0-2, Phil.
No, that would have been
especially given the quality of opponent.
And the fans, I think, reacted as such. There was some booing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of disgruntledness.
A ton.
Jasmine says, y'all so unserious. Crying emoji.
Is that good or bad?
I think good.
Okay.
Yeah, unserious. Jasmine is one of our frequent commenters.
Yeah, of course.
So that's on the Broncos official YouTube page. You can find this Thursday preview show there. And then also we're live. That's Mondays from 5:30 to 6:15 from Breckenridge Brewery's farm home. We're there breaking down the game every Monday. And we're also live on the Broncos YouTube page. But, Eric, there are other ways that fans can get involved in the show.
That's right, Phil. You can leave a voicemail at 707-NEUTRAL. You call in. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to, especially Ben Swanson. You just leave a voice message. There's going to be two to six beeps.
Few beeps.
And then at least 2 beeps. And then you'll leave your voicemail. And if it's good, it'll get past Ben Swanson. And then if it's really good, it'll make it all the way onto the show.
To the show. It's nice.
It's nice. You could also leave an email, Phil, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
What is that?
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Okay, one more time.
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
That's right.
Okay?
You leave an email there.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to talk.
A little typey type.
A little typey type, kind of what I do.
Yeah.
For the web.
Yeah. Web guy.
Kind of a web guy.
Yeah.
That's a really nice option, too. You could do that. Or, Phil, you could tweet at us directly on that little Blue Bird app.
Tweet.
At Eric Talala with an A. At Phil Milani with a PH.
Non-traditional spellings.
Right. Or at Broncos Podcasts.
What?
Podcasts.
So you said it a little bit fast. What is it?
Podcasts.
Podcats.
Cats.
Broncos Podcats.
Yeah, that account has been very active.
Yeah, it has been.
They wished Emmanuel Sanders a happy retirement with a cat on his head.
Our guy E is going to be on NFL Network now.
That's right.
Yeah. I was like, hey, do you want to come on the Broncos postgame show? Broncos postgame live.
Uh-huh.
What we call it now. And he was like, no, I think I'll just go on NFL Network.
It was a tough choice, I heard.
I was like, all right, your loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who'd you get instead?
Well, that remains a secret right up until the start of the show.
To you as well?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Bring them in. I'm blindfolded.
It's kind of like the Masked Singer sort of situation.
Exactly. I hear their voice first, and then I'm like,
you're like, who could this be?
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah. Is this Nick Ferguson? And then he takes off
He's like, of course it is.
the Miles head.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like,
they come in with a Miles.
And you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you do the show.
and then we do the show.
That's nice.
Yeah. Because you have to have some sort of mystery.
Have you considered having them keep the horse head on for the first part of the show and then fans could like guess who it is?
Oh, like poll, like have a nice little poll or something?
Yeah, like who is this week's guest?
Yeah. I hadn't considered that.
It could be a really nice way to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be nice. All right, Eric. So those are all the ways that everybody can get involved in the show. We encourage you to do that. But it's time to get into our first topic on this episode, and that is, Eric, how easily can the Broncos correct some of these mistakes? They lead the NFL in penalties. There's been some indecision on whether or not they want to go for it on fourth down. They've had to use some timeouts in some situations because the right personnel was not on the field. Can these things just get cleaned up in the course of 1 week?
Yeah, I think they can. I don't know that. Well, I kind of view two issues here, right? One is the game operations sort of situation, which is getting to the line in time and not having these delay of game penalties. One is, part of that is also the fourth down decision making sure that the operation is a little bit smoother in terms of personnel changing, getting a punt returner out on the field at the right time. I think all of those things can be fixed in 1 week and can stay fixed. The other side,
that's kind of that second part is kind of the hard part, right? It's getting it stayed fixed.
Getting it stayed fixed.
Yeah, making it nice and stayed.
Right. That's the important part. I think with that, it's actually easy to get it stayed fixed, as you would say, because once you get into a good process, this is a process issue. I think once you finalize and solidify that process, I think it's going to be okay moving forward. The second element to me is the red zone issues and kind of scoring points. That's an important thing to do, score points.
You want to put the ball in the box.
That's right, as our friend CJ Anderson would say.
Correct.
That, to me, again, I think you can see success and improvement in 1 week. The Broncos have shown signs that they're a good offense. Their average length of drive is the longest in the NFL. They're one of two teams, them and the Bills, to be in the top 10 in total offense and total defense. If you look at some of the advanced stats, Phil, which I know you really like.
The top 10 in the offense and defense, and we're talking about the offense, so that doesn't really...
That shows they're a complete team.
Oh, got it.
If you look at some of the advanced stats, the Broncos offense is viewed as one of the better offenses in the league in terms of
DVOA.
sustained drives, putting yourself in position. I mean, 6 red zone trips is not bad by any means. That puts you, I think, like 13th or so in the league. So I think that you can take that success and build on it and be successful in the red zone. That's the area, though, Phil, where I don't know if you could go, say you go 3 for 3 in the red zone this week. I don't know that you're going to go 100%. You're not going to go 100% in the red zone every week. And so that could be something where it's just going to take time, and like 1 week could be good, 1 week could be not so good, and you're going to have to build the red zone work over time to get to where you want to be.
Well, Russell Wilson really highlighted, like 5 examples of where, a couple inches difference here or there, and then you're talking about a lot of touchdowns. So, I mean, there are a lot of different ways you could look at this thing. Russ tends to be pretty optimistic. But I do think that they'll get that sort of stuff figured out. My question is, like, how do you fix some of these penalties and procedural type of things? I mean, this is something that I guess we're not used to here in Denver, just some of these little... I mean, certainly the penalties. I mean, the Broncos have not had this many penalties, and I don't remember them being this bad. How do you fix that? I mean, is that just showing the guys tape and be like, don't do this? How do you do it?
They should bring you in. Guys, this is what you did. Don't do it anymore.
We'll get this thing cleaned up. Yeah. Like, see how like when the ball doesn't move, and then you're like on the offensive line, you don't move until this ball moves.
Got it.
And they're like, oh. It is sort of interesting because when they go to the line of scrimmage, they know the snap count. The defense does not know the snap count.
The what?
The snap count.
Uh-huh.
Snap count.
Sound like you were saying snap count.
That's
Swanson,
not what I'm talking about.
Fact check.
Yeah, it did sound a little strange.
Snap count.
Okay, so they know it. Hopefully.
Yep, and then the defense doesn't know it. So then so they should not be the ones moving.
Yeah.
I would explain all this to them.
Well, the Broncos... Would there be no time to even install any plays for the week because you'd just be like, okay, and then if you catch the ball, you got to get 2 feet in.
Yeah. And you get you secure the ball, and then you start running.
Yeah. There'd be no time to learn any new plays. We'd just be going over all sorts of.
Well, you got to get the fundamentals down.
That's right. Well, in terms of like the false starts, the delays of game, I think if you just get up to the line quicker, a lot of that stuff isn't going to happen as much. The illegal shifts or formations, those sorts of things. I think you get some of that figured out if you get up there a little bit earlier.
How do you do that?
Well, Nathaniel Hackett said he needs to make faster decisions, needs to get the play in faster, and then Russell Wilson said he needs to get to the line of scrimmage faster. So I think it's just a conscious effort of even if each person does their job 2 seconds faster, you're going to be in a better position to have some time up there to identify what the defense is doing. And listen, it's not like this happened on every single play. The Broncos ran, I'm sure, 50 to 60 plays on Sunday. There were 11 where the play clock got down, I think, under 2 seconds, or there were a delay a game. That's a lot of plays. That's a high percentage.
That is high.
But it's not like this is happening every single snap. And so you've just got to clean it up in certain situations. If it's after a big play or, it's at this critical moment, got to make sure that you stay locked in and stay focused.
No celebrating.
That would be one of your roles too.
Yeah. Well, you did hear Nathaniel Hackett say, look, we got to be a little more mature.
Yeah. He was talking to you.
That could be some of that. That could be some of it.
Was he talking to them, or was he like, Phil, you got to be a little more mature?
I think he was talking about the team.
Oh, got it.
I am mature. Yeah.
That's always been quite clear to me.
One other thing that could help is like after every play call in the huddle, Russ, he's got to stop saying "let's ride" at the end. Because that's taking some time.
You think that's what's doing it? You think he's saying "let's ride" after?
He's
every
like
play?
He calls a play and then before break it, he's just like, guys, let's ride. Takes like what, 5 seconds right there.
And you got to do it 3 times.
Yeah. Then somebody's like, what? And then he's like, let's ride. And then Glasgow's like, what did you say? And then it's like, let's ride. And then he thinks it's a run play, or it's kind of confusing sometimes.
You're insane.
I will say one of the things you would expect having Russ, a veteran guy, you want him up at the line of scrimmage so he can have some time to detect what's going on, have some motion. If he wants to flip the play to the other side, just, identify the mic.
Flip it back.
Snip,
snap.
They flip. You got to flip.
Yep.
Snip, snap. Yeah. Then you got to go.
A lot.
Yeah.
Man, so maybe they should just go no huddle and just get up there right away. Give them a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly. Give them all the time.
It is interesting. It feels like McManus on that field goal where there was a delay of game. He was still out there. He got out there with like 12 seconds left or 13 seconds left. Like, does it really take that long to just snap him the ball and let him kick it?
Yes. Because he's got to line up, and then he's got to take one step
his little
back,
steps.
2-step back,
maybe he's
3-step, side,
1-2
side.
Step? He does the 1-2 step right there.
Exactly. And then you got to make sure all the dirt's out of the way.
That's critical.
Yeah. And then make sure that everybody's set.
Yep.
There's an operation.
Hit myself in the face with a microphone, Phil. I'm getting a little.
Well, that's your first time in here.
Yeah, I'm getting a little heated.
I do think that these things will get corrected. I just don't know. I think it takes time to just make. I don't know if it's like 1 week. There's going to be a huge black and white difference.
No, I differ from you there. I do think that this is going to be something that they emphasize. They clean up quickly. The penalties, we have to realize there's going to be a difference. Penalties are still going to be called on this team,
of course.
And they have a referee this weekend, Sean Hockley, that calls among the most.
The Hawk.
Yeah. Is he as jacked as his dad?
He's getting there.
Yeah, he's close.
Yeah.
He calls among the most.
Schmedium uniforms.
That's right. Calls among the most penalties in the league. So you can't expect this to go to 0. But what you would like to see is that these operational penalties or the avoidable ones, those go away. You still might get called for an offensive holding. You might still get called for defensive holding, but you hope that easy ones like a false start or a delay a game or illegal formation, things that are because you're rushing up to the line, that those go away. And I really do think that those can be corrected in 1 week.
What about the situations where the Broncos, they're driving, they're in that gray area, and then they're like, okay, do we want to go for it on 4th down here? Do we want to kick a field goal? Do we want to punt? Those types of decisions, how do you think that kind of stuff can get cleaned up? Because, there's people up in the booth who are in Hackett's headset. They're going over some analytics stuff, I'm sure, game flow situation. It does seem like there were times, certainly last week, that Nathaniel Hackett wanted to see how Russ was feeling about the situation. How can they clean that up? Because I do think there might be a time, maybe it's this week, maybe it's next week, where they're going to need their timeouts late in the game.
Yeah, of course.
You don't want to burn a timeout just because you're sort of indecisive.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that you've got to know. So in that situation, it was 3rd and 2, right? I'm thinking of the one down at the 30-ish yard line where they ran the option with Andrew Beck.
Yeah.
Again, he said this week, you got to think a little bit ahead. And so, hey, we're going to go for it here. If we don't get it, we're going right back up to the line. As long as we're within, if we don't lose 3 yards on this play, we're going back up to the line. If we are stopped for no gain, he's got to think through all these things of if it's a 1 yard loss, if it's a 2 yard loss, what do you do there? Or set a yard line and say, as long as we're here, we're going for it. Or something along those lines. Just think a little bit further ahead. I think that that's possible. I think he needs to maybe streamline who he's hearing from, what information he's hearing, and then that should help him make those decisions. And, those conversations, you see coaches have time to have conversations with their quarterbacks. You see John Harbaugh yell, hey, Lamar, you want to go for it here? Sean McDermott and Josh Allen in Buffalo this weekend were inside the 10-yard line, I think, and they went for it on 4th down, and Sean McDermott asked Josh Allen real quick, hey, do you want to go for it here? So there is time to do that, but you've just got to have the rest of it already set. You've got to have that play call of, okay, if we're going for it, here's what we're doing. Or, if we're not going for it, McManus is halfway on the field anyway anytime there's a 4th down, so he's going to be ready, but everybody else has to be ready to run out there and go.
I think McManus, he'd love to kick it every time.
Every time.
Yeah. Do you think Russ should have some authority to be like, we're going for it?
No, I think it needs to be a joint decision.
Because we haven't seen that side of Russ at all, where in the past, I hate to always compare him to Peyton Manning, but it's sort of
probably makes
natural.
more sense to compare him to Peyton Manning than Case Keenum.
Well, yes, but we had seen in times where Peyton would be animated out there, being like, we got to go for it. Russ, so far, and I don't know if this is part of his personality or how he likes to do things, he's been like, whatever the coach wants to do, I'm happy to do it. But I got to think somewhere inside of him, the competitive nature, of the sport, there's got to be a time where he feels like there's a rhythm there. We're going for it. Do you think that you want to see that from him? You want to see a little bit of that fiery edge of him?
No, I don't need to. I just want them to make the best decision for the team, and that should be made jointly with Nathaniel Hackett, I think, first and foremost, and then Russell's opinion as well. But I don't need to see Russell be like, hey, you're wrong, we need to go for this, just to believe that he's the leader of this team or a good quarter. I don't need to see that.
Okay. I like a little edge.
I know you do, but I don't know that it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary.
Peyton Manning didn't yell at John Fox we shouldn't take a knee here. We should try to push the ball down the field.
Oh, are you talking about the Ravens game?
I am.
I think we talked about that. We don't talk about that.
I'm just saying that you don't need to you don't need your quarterback to.
You certainly don't want to be that all the time. But there's sometimes where a little bit of edge is. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just wondering what you think. If you want to see some of that, or if you want to just.
I think that they are probably pretty aligned based on what we've heard on when to go for it and when not to go for it.
Look, I think that this relationship is growing here, too. I mean, it's just 2 weeks into the season. It's going to take time for them to just sort of sync up a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Russell Wilson mentioned that. This is a new deal for all of them. They're figuring it out. What this team looks like right now is not going to be what they look like at the end of this season or next season or, years down the line. These things take time to grow.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully the operation gets a little bit cleaner here as the 49ers come to town. Sunday Night Football. The whole nation will be watching this game. Eric, let's move on to topic number 2.
Required viewing.
It is required viewing.
Mandatory.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, what else is mandatory viewing? What else? What other programs?
I don't think anything, right?
Yeah. The Super Bowl is kind of mandatory.
Do you know what mandatory means?
Yeah. Like if you don't watch it the next day when you go to the office and everybody's talking about it and you don't know what's going on,
yeah,
you don't want that to happen. So it's mandatory that you watch it.
Got it. So you don't know what it means.
Yeah, that is what it means. You don't want to be like, say, you don't want to show up to work on Monday and they'll be like, everybody will be talking about the play Russell Wilson made. And you're like, what? You don't want to be that person. So it's mandatory that you watch. That's what it means.
That was nice of you to say the exact same thing a second time.
Yeah, because it seemed like you didn't understand what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like during this show, it's mandatory that you listen to what I'm saying.
It's definitely not.
That's what it means. Fact check Ben Swanson. Every time we go to Ben Swanson, it's like maybe 5 seconds before he jumps in.
He's thinking.
You
got to work well.
He's thinking.
Well,
That needs to be faster. We need these operations to get going here a little bit.
That's true.
I think we need to get you a dictionary.
How much yelling do you think is going on in Hackett's headset? Like, do you think it's like chaos in there? Or what do you think is going
Are
on?
you on it or no?
If I were out there, I'd be like,
A lot of yelling.
and then you know how it shuts off like 15 seconds, like into Wilson. Oh, I guess Wilson.
Hackett's headset does not shut
Hackett's
off.
doesn't shut off. It would be funny if I was in Wilson's headset, though. Huh?
Really funny.
What would you say to him?
Be like,
would you say?
whatever
Let's do
Phil
this.
just said, do the opposite.
You think they could get two people into his headset? Like into Russ's?
No, you have to. The one person is allowed to.
I know, but what if you could have two?
Oh man, what if the?
One side, it's kind of like like you're weighing something.
You want to talk about the Niners?
Swanson.
Don't look at me.
What are we going to do with Eric, All right, topic number 2 on this episode of the Neutral Zone. We're going to talk about a few matchups that we're really going to pay attention to here. Eric, what's one position that you're like, this is going to maybe determine the outcome of the game?
Whoever's on Deebo Samuel. The 49ers kind of do it all player, officially a wide receiver, Phil, but he'll line up in the backfield, he'll line up out wide. They'll put him on jet sweeps. They'll hand it off to him and let him just carry it. I mean, he does it all. And I think the most dangerous thing about him is that he has that big playability where you think you've stopped him for a loss and then boom, he's gone for 55 yards or 60 yards. And that changes the entire tone of the game. And I think obviously George Kittle's a great weapon, and the Broncos have seen firsthand how dangerous he can be. Back in 2018, I think he had 200 and
He took off for that long touchdown.
210 yards at halftime. And so they know how dangerous he is, but Deebo is he's a little different. There's nobody quite like him in the NFL in terms of what he can do. And so they just have to be ready for him and make sure that he's a number one priority to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to have to, swarm to the ball whenever it's in his hands. It's mandatory. Swanson, 1, 2, 3.
What am I supposed to wait on there?
He's on the seventh. He's on the 7th.
Mandatory.
Is it?
Yeah. You never know what Swanson. He could just be dropping F-bombs on here. We're like, hey, this is a family program.
Right. We got him on the delay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want people to be hearing my keyboard clacking.
Yeah.
Clacking over there, bro?
You clacking, huh? You type like Mike Kliss? Huh? Friend of the program?
That's good audio.
Yeah, that is good. Good for a podcast, I agree. We heard Bradley Chubb say it. You always got to know where 19 is on the field. They move him around.
Seth Williams?
Huh? No. Deebo Samuel.
Oh, they're
the
19.
40-19.
Got it.
Yeah, for the 49ers. Because they move him around all the time on the field. So, like, you might be expecting him here, but he's over there.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's another thing I would tell the team. I'd be like, all right, guys. If
You might think he made it over there, but he could be really.
But he really could be over there.
So watch out for that.
Watch out for that.
And don't let him do any touchdowns.
They say,
no touchdowns.
This is, a complicated sport, but it really isn't.
That's right. It's kind of a miracle that we are able to have you in our presence doing this podcast. When really, any NFL team would be lucky to have you on their coaching staff.
I told the team, I said, look, it's time to go do the neutral zone, and this is really crucial. So
they're like, yeah, Dad, how do we spend the next hour?
Yeah, and then I said, you guys go have breakfast, and then we'll go.
Yeah,
we'll get back together a little bit later on in the day.
I will say one thing that gives me a little bit of hope facing this 49ers offense is I don't think the Broncos are going to be overmatched despite the talent that they have. We'll see obviously if Pat Surtain
Yeah.
He's able to play this weekend.
Day to day.
He told the Denver Post, I believe, that he expects to be able to play this weekend, so that's good news.
Who did he tell that to?
Kyle Newman.
Oh, he saw him like in the parking lot?
I think the media is allowed in the locker room.
Oh.
Probably approached
he
him in the
thought
locker room.
and nobody else was around.
Apparently not,
Oh.
because it wasn't in any other place other than the Denver Post.
Okay.
But also Ronald Darby has played really well to start the season.
Yeah, he has been good.
K'Wan Williams has been good to start the season.
The Shark.
Yeah. This is his former team, of course, that he's playing.
He's got that cast on his hand.
Got that shark in him.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like his fin.
Uh-huh.
You know, when you see that coming,
That's how you know.
you know the shark's there.
Could be a dolphin.
No, it's a shark.
Okay. Kareem Jackson, I thought, had a nice game against the Texans. So I feel,
Still no Justin Simmons.
of course, Caden Stearns, I think, did a
Nice
fine job. PJ Locke in the dime, fine job. You know, it wasn't perfect by any means, but they kept him out of the end zone, didn't allow any over the top plays. So I do feel actually pretty comfortable with the way that this secondary matches up with Deebo. And then obviously we'll just have to see how they handle George Kittle if he plays. I would assume he's going to play based on, he was kind of a game time decision last week, practiced on a limited basis Wednesday. It looks like he's trending that direction. Of course, it does also seem like the Broncos should get Josie Jewell back, so that helps them. But that's going to be I think if the Broncos could hold them to 20 points, that would be a win in my mind.
Most definitely. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is one of the most accomplished play callers in the entire NFL. He knows how to use his weapons well.
Yep.
Another guy that we haven't talked about yet is Trent Williams. I mean, he's probably one of the best tackles in the entire league. And the Broncos have been really using that pass rush a lot to make some of these big plays, especially later in the game. Randy Gregory.
They're like, should we use the pass rush now?
That's when I'm like, it's time for Gregory to get in the game. And then he goes out there and he strips the ball.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Chubb was very close to making a couple of other plays.
Yeah, but Gregory got there. So I'm talking about Gregory. See, I told Chubb, I was like, get to the quarterback. And he was like, I'll try. And I was like, no, you should do it. And Gregory was like, I'll do it. And then he just did it. You see?
I get it. I see that.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell them why don't you make them both do it?
I tried to get under both. I just we're working on it.
Oh, okay. You're still
We're working on it.
Got it.
Yeah. Maybe this week. Chubb did it the first
time.
week, and Gregory both did it. They
Break
both
them in
did
half.
it the first week.
Yeah.
Last week, Gregory did it.
The way the Broncos normally line up, Chubb will be going against Trent Williams most of the time.
And I think that you asked Bradley Chubb. Yep. You hit him on it. You're like, hey, how do you stay positive during the course of the game? Because
Patient.
Trent Williams can kind of be like demoralizing, like you just can't do anything. You start to get frustrating.
Well, but it's all about, can you get those one or two sacks in key moments? I mean, those guys are out there for 50 plays a game. You got to make the one or two plays that are going to change the game.
Just hit them.
Last time the Broncos played the Niners at home, I think DeMarcus had that lovely fake spin move.
Yeah, on Staley.
Joe Staley.
Yeah. I asked DeMarcus about that the next day.
What did he say?
I was like, had you been setting him up for this spin?
Kind of some pass rush moves.
I was like, hey,
A little bit of this. A little bit of that.
Were you working that the whole time and then you were saving it, the fake? And he was like, no. I started to spin. I saw that he started moving, so then I just stopped and I went the other way.
Of course, naturally.
And I was like, what?
But that in your mind makes a lot of sense.
That's true.
You're like, why don't you start spinning and just stop spinning and then go sack him?
Exactly.
You're like, you did exactly what I told you.
That's where I learned it from, is DeMarcus.
Yeah,
he told me.
It's not that hard.
Exactly. Of course, the last time the Broncos played the 49ers at home, Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
Also blue uniforms.
Russell Wilson's going to throw his 509th touchdown pass.
Yeah, that would
be what? About 215 touchdown passes?
Yeah, because last week he got to 294.
Yeah.
He's 14th, tied with Carson Palmer.
Okay.
Guess who's 13th? Like right in front of him.
John Elway.
Yeah.
He has 300?
Yeah. That could. I mean, I'm assuming that
this week,
if the red zone gets corrected in the next couple of weeks,
we'll be there soon.
Russ is going to tie Elway and then pass him probably.
In his career, I would think that's definitely
Yeah. But it's probably the
Would that
next
be
couple
sad
of weeks.
for you a little bit or no?
Well, it's just a much different game.
Oh,
Yeah. It's just a way different game.
way different.
Yeah. I think if Elway would have played today, he maybe like 750. Minimum.
Per year.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on the other side of the ball
Yeah,
real
the
quick.
49ers have the best defense in the NFL.
That's true from a total yards perspective. That's
That is,
correct.
yeah, you try to limit the yards that the other team gets.
I kind of like looking at scoring defense.
Yeah.
That to me is really
Well,
nice.
scoring, there's a lot of things that can impact that. The yards. You stop those yards, that's a good defense.
Gosh. Well, if they figured out who won the game based on total yards, the Broncos would be 2-0.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good way to think about it. But we're not talking about wins and losses. We're talking about good defenses.
Got it.
I use total yards.
Okay. Yeah, the Niners have a really nice defense. Of course, week 1, they played in kind of a sloppy environment,
Wet.
a downpour.
Monsoon.
Yeah. And then week
Chicago.
Week 2 hosted the Seahawks at home. Seattle didn't have quite the same oomph that they did in the first half of the Bronco game.
Seattle at home versus Seattle on the road, a couple of different situations.
Is it like that meme where you've got the dog that's like all jacked up and then you got the little small dog?
There's
don't know
no
what
way Phil knows what that is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll show you after.
Okay.
I think it's like that. Swanson, fact check.
Yeah, it's a good meme. And it's like that.
Big jack dog,
Little dog.
little dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
little
holding a
dog's
bat.
like too meek to do anything.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I've
like
not
you.
seen that one.
It's like you before you have your Raisin Bran and you after.
Yeah. Now I understand what you're talking
now you
about.
get it.
Thank you for putting it in my language.
Yeah. Listen, this defense is really good. Nick Bosa, I think
3
he's
sacks. This
3 sacks. I think he's 3rd in the league. Definitely top
scary
5.
individual.
Really good. Fred Warner.
Well, with the Bosa, are we expecting Billy Turner back this week, or what's going on with him?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it's almost like they've just decided they're going to ride with Fleming a little bit here, but we'll have to see what happens.
Going to ride with him, huh? Okay.
But they're gonna have to be aware of where Bosa is at all times, and he's not the only. Eric Armstead's really good too.
Yeah.
Fred Warner in the middle of the defense. Russell Wilson said he's like close to Bobby Wagner territory, which is obviously really, really good. Broncos maybe catch a little bit of a break that Jimmy Ward, their safety, is not going to play this weekend. And so I think against this 49ers defense, you're probably not going to put up 35 points that you expect week in and week out.
Should have been 38 last week, I
Right.
believe, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. They got close.
That is, of course, from Ready for Kickoff every Saturday. That video comes out, and we're previewing the game.
We shoot those on Fridays.
No, Saturday mornings.
Oh, got it. But certainly no earlier.
Well, Eric, the final injury report comes out on Friday, so we need
wait
to know that kind of stuff. Saturday morning, we shoot that.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. It wouldn't be really responsible to do it any earlier.
No, I agree.
Kind of mandatory to do it Saturday morning.
Now you know. Now you're getting it.
I think the key will be against this defense. You've just got to stick with it. You know, it's possible
Oh, good key there.
you're going to go 3 and out a couple
Keep
times.
playing.
I think. Don't give up.
Yeah.
But Kyle Shanahan said the other day, listen, it can seem like you have Russell Wilson kind of pinned down for 3.5 quarters, and just like that, he'll rattle off 3 touchdown drives. The Broncos just need to keep the faith here, realize you're not going to score on every possession. There are going to be times when Nick Bosa is probably going to sack Russell Wilson at some point. You might turn the ball over at some point. You're not going to have success every single time you touch the ball, but you got to trust your defense that they're going to play well. And this is just going to be one of those physical, grinded out type of games where you've got to be able to do just enough to get a win.
Fortunately for the Broncos, Russell Wilson has a lot of experience going against the 49ers.
A lot of success.
Let's test Ben Swanson here. Are you ready?
Yep.
36 career touchdown passes for Russell. You got to watch that microphone.
I'm a little rattled.
Yeah. 36 career touchdown passes, Russell Wilson against the 49ers, the most against any opponent in his career.
That's correct.
So that is good. Most wins against any opponent, the 49ers.
Yep.
So those things I think are working in
What are you testing Swanson on?
if he knows those stats, if those are correct.
They are correct.
Does Russell Wilson know? Does Swanson know that?
I don't know.
I have it pulled up. How many touchdowns did you say?
36.
Yeah, that's right.
Fact check, yes.
Fact check. Nice.
How many wins, Phil?
I don't know. Actually, know that number.
The answer is 16 regular season.
16.
And he is 1-0 against them in the postseason.
He's played them 20 times.
21,
Is that
including
21?
the postseason.
I'm not talking about postseason.
Okay, then, 20 regular season times.
Okay.
16-4.
That's pretty good. I know he's won his last 4 starts against the 49ers.
That's true.
Yeah, I knew that. That's pretty good.
That's hard to be better than that.
I feel like sometimes
maybe if you won your last
here's
5.
like an interesting thing. You can't really explain some of these things,
Ooh.
but sometimes some players just have a lot of success against another team.
Yeah.
You know, like this is one of those things that you don't know why it happens. You don't know what's going on, but Russell Wilson has success against the 49ers.
I mean, I would assume that he's had a lot of touchdown passes and wins against them because he's played them a lot of times.
Yes, but 16-4?
It's good. There's no doubt about that. The Niners were in some rebuilding years at one point Russ was in Seattle for 10 years. San Francisco had the kind of the down era in the early.
Had a little bit of downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between the Super Bowl and where they are now.
Was it a rebuild or a reboot?
Oh, maybe a reload.
Oh.
Kind of, that's in between.
Is that better than a boot or a load? Is it better than a boot or no?
I think so.
Yeah.
You'd earn
Charged.
No, I think
recharged.
yeah. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah. I don't know what that all means, but we got to get to the bottom of it. Yeah. But do you agree? Sometimes there's some players who
of
just
course.
have like success against
you
another
just find
team.
a way to do it.
Yeah.
And I think some people are saying, is this transferable from Seattle? I think because San Francisco plays the same defense they've played for the last several years, they've got the same personnel. It's not like you can't say, well, I guess you could say this, but like the Chiefs have won 13 straight against the Broncos. That's true. I don't really know how much weight that has on this current, like when they face this year, because the Broncos have a different coaching staff, a different quarterback. And so it's
different deal.
And so
but
you're not really
weighs on the team, but it's a different deal.
But it's not from an X's and O's standpoint relevant.
Yeah.
Whereas I think his performance against this defense is relevant because
he's done it against these guys in this system.
In this scheme.
Yeah. But like Peyton Manning, he never lost to the Chiefs until the final game of his final season against them.
Yeah.
That's just like, I'm like, why is it like that? But he just did it.
He was really good.
Yeah. I guess Russ is really good too. Yeah. That helps. That helps. But no doubt this is one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
The offense gets so much attention, but
the defense is scary.
Defense
it's gonna be
really
it's a physical football game.
yeah.
Gotta rely on Javonte Williams. You got to be tough if you're this run defense.
Yeah. The Broncos in the top 10 in passing and running.
Yep.
Those are the two areas of the game that I'm like, okay, you got to pass it well and you got to run it good. Okay. And then if you do those two things.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the third area that you don't really care about as much?
No, those are the two. Those are the two. Yeah.
Scoring, maybe.
No, I care about that. You got to do that.
They're not in the top 10. And
no, but you got to get.
offense.
We're going to get there.
Defensively, they are.
Yeah. I say we because I'm coaching them now. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Should we move on?
Third? Yeah, we can go to.
We'll have to fact check Phil real quick.
Oh.
What is it?
Peyton did lose to the Chiefs before that final season.
Wait, one time?
Yeah. He lost in 2004.
What was the score of that game?
45-35.
Doesn't count. Was that a Trent Green?
I don't even know if I believe you.
Trent Green?
Yeah, Trent Green threw for 389 yards, 3 tubs.
How many interceptions?
Wow, yeah.
1 pick.
Oh, not very good.
Yeah.
Peyton had 5 tubs. Pretty good.
5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that allowed?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Where is he throwing them from?
The 21.
Yeah, the 21. Yeah. Let's move on to our third topic here on this episode and just talking about the importance of this game. If the Broncos win, what does it mean? If the Broncos lose, what does that mean? If the Broncos tie, what does it mean?
I'm not doing the tie part.
You're not going to do that one?
No.
Okay, let's talk about what a win would mean.
Yeah, I mean, this I think will end up being among the better wins on the Broncos schedule this year. And they've got some chances against the Chiefs. the Ravens on the road, the Chargers, obviously.
Rams.
To get some big-time wins. But I think this is especially early in the season, this would show that this team has taken a big step forward from where they've been the last 2 weeks. It would show that they are a real contender. It would show they're capable of beating a veteran physical team, which I think is important to show, if you want to make a run in the playoffs in the postseason. And this is a 49ers team, Phil, that I firmly believe will make the playoffs and has a chance to make a run there in the NFC. That, to me, that conference is wide open. And so this would be a really good win. And I think among the better wins the Broncos have had over the last several years. I think you put it right up there with, I don't know if it's quite as good as what the Cowboys win felt like last year, because at the time that Cowboys win felt really, really good. But I think it's maybe right after that. You put it right in that conversation.
Would it be the kind of a win where things like just clicked, and then moving forward, you're like, okay, this was the start of a run? You think it could be that type of a game?
I think absolutely. I think it could be like that Chargers game was for Manning.
Yeah,
I think it could be the type of game where you get on a run and you go. And I don't think it might. I don't know that it's going to be the same type of run. I mean, 11 games in a row is crazy, but I think it would give you some momentum going into next week's game against the Raiders, which is a very important game. Certainly, I think it makes you feel better about hosting the Colts at home, though they haven't looked great. And I think even if you don't beat the Chargers on the road, Phil, which that's another really tough game, I think you feel confident that you're going to go in there with a chance to win and that you can go in there and compete with them. And so, yeah, I do think if things click this weekend, it's a sign that, hey, you figured this thing out, you're on the right track, you're moving forward, and no more, being ranked 22nd in the power rankings and people saying, oh, what is going on in Denver? I think this is a chance to say, hey, this is a good football team.
Yeah, there is sort of that notion from a national perspective. They're like not really sure what to make of the Broncos.
Yeah.
And I think that if you clean things up and you play a really efficient game, then I think that would signify to the rest of the league, okay, this is a good team. Because you look at the stats, you look at all this stuff, you would think the Broncos had, started the season really well. But just because of the red zone execution, the penalties, these types of things, some of the game operations, you're not sure what to make of it. But if they go out there Sunday Night Football and just really it all comes together and they play a great game against the 49ers, that would change the entire narrative.
Yeah.
Right now, I think there's just a little bit of an uneasiness and an unsure, okay, what is this team about?
Yeah.
An unsureness.
An unsureness, yeah.
So I do think a win this week could be that type of thing where, okay, this is what this team's capable of.
I think you also, it's not just proving it to the outside world. I think you prove to yourselves a little bit if you're.
Oh, do you think they have some doubt?
I don't think there's like overwhelming doubt, but I think they just haven't seen it yet. And I think once you see yourself do something, you have faith that you can do it again and you can keep doing it. I mean, Phil, before you did your first triple backflip, you just weren't sure that you could do that.
Yeah.
And then once you did it,
confidence.
Now you just break them out all the time.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that to me is, if you're Cortland Sutton or you're Javonte Williams or you're Bradley Chubb and you're a guy that hasn't been on a winning team in the NFL, I think if you win this game and you see yourself have the success, you kind of tell yourself, okay, we're a good team. We can compete against the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Rams or whoever else. I think you get some faith that you can do this thing.
Because like Eric Saubert in the locker room after the game against the Texans, he was asked like, hey, what did you think about the fans getting upset? And, you guys were behind to start the fourth quarter. Was there any uneasiness? And he was like, no. He was like, at the beginning of every drive, like Russell Wilson talks to us inside the huddle, we're fully confident. We think we're going to go score every time, essentially is what it. And so, it seems like that confidence level is really high with this team, that they don't really necessarily need to see it. But I do think that beating a team like the 49ers, you would gain something from that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And again, I think it'd be that big momentum boost that you could ride for the next part of the season.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of that, Phil, and this is going to sound a little bit hedgy, maybe a little ridiculous after what we just talked about, but I also don't think it's the end of the world if this team doesn't win this game.
Oh, Swanson, you got your hedger? You ready to do some gardening? Huh? Are you ready?
I start the clicker, one hedge.
Yeah. How many hedges?
How
Yeah,
many
hedge
hedges?
count.
I will. When we looked at the schedule before the season, I kind of always viewed this, even with Trey Lance as a starter, as a really tricky game for the Broncos. Now, I thought, I think we did this on the neutral zone where we went through game by game.
Yeah, we tend to do that.
I think you predicted a loss in Seattle.
I did.
Nice job. Thanks a lot for that. I thought that this team would not win against the 49ers.
We both had them at 2-1, I think.
2-1.
I said they beat the 49ers.
You did say that. I think if this team can get through the next few weeks at 3-3, because I do think going to LA is going to be really tricky.
You like tricky, huh?
Yeah.
It'd be tricky.
Too many trickies. That's going to be difficult.
Tricky.
Careful.
Dun.
You don't have the rights to that.
I'm not even sure what that song was.
It's tricky.
I've heard that one.
Tricky. Boom.
Okay. There, I think you got a little taste from
You
me.
got it?
Yeah.
I brought it up.
Now,
Yeah, but you didn't do it.
I did it right.
The loss to Seattle obviously eliminates some wiggle room here, but you've got to.
Tricky and wiggle. I like these words.
I'm going to mute your microphone. You've got to find a way to get to week 6, I think, at 3-3 at the very worst. And so that means you either got to get one here or you got to go to Las Vegas and win. So it's not the end of the world if you lose this weekend because I think it's a really good football team, Phil. And like I said, one of the better ones you'll face all year. The Broncos are still figuring things out. But
What if we add a little caveat how they lose?
oh, sure.
Let's talk about that a little bit, maybe. Like, I think that if they play a really solid game, and it comes down to just maybe like a play late in the fourth quarter that the Niners make or something like that, I agree with you that it's not that big of a deal. Like, you can rebound from that. It would make next week really crucial, but
Right,
I do think
if you lose this week, you almost have to win
yeah.
next week to avoid falling to 1-3.
Yeah. But what if there's some of the same issues that carry over into this week? Things aren't pretty. Then I do think there would be some major concerns.
Yeah, I think I have a hard time believing that the game management is going to be an issue again. I think that that's going to get fixed. But if that were an issue again, if you get in the red zone and you still cannot score, or if the 49ers just look like they're in a different class than you, like if the 49ers win by 2 touchdowns, then you would probably be sitting there and thinking, like where
Major
is this,
concerns.
where is this team? But I think on Sunday Night Football at home with home field advantage, the way Russell has played against San Francisco, I have a hard time believing that that's going to happen. I think this is going to be a very tight game, Phil. I'm not sure which way it's going to go at the end there, but I think it's going to be a game that is coming down to the end of the fourth quarter. I'm going to be sitting next to Ben Swanson in the press box. He's going to be chewing on his fingernails. He's going to be he's going to be shaking. I'm going to be typing. I type.
And some hot cocoa.
Yeah. But I normally
Obvious.
just type.
Yeah.
So, but I just want this is a good litmus test in terms of where the Broncos are, but it can still be a good sign of where they are, even if you lose a close one.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a different game for the Broncos because Seattle and Houston, is it okay to say no offense to them, but then...
No offense?
Yes, no offense to them. No offense to Seattle. That happened already.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused what you were saying.
Yeah. They're just not the 49ers.
Russell Wilson to Denver. No offense to Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're not the 49ers.
So this is a different type of a deal.
I think, did Bradley Chubb say somebody said this is a big boy game?
Ooh. I didn't hear Bradley Chubb say.
Ben Swanson fact check?
Who said big boy?
I was in the locker room. I didn't.
Oh, my. Of course he was.
That doesn't, I don't care where you were. What happened? Is it true or not? You know? That's sort of an interesting approach. Are you looking, maybe you just made it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it.
This is where big boy football comes to play.
Oh.
It's
Is
kind of
Bradley
like,
Chubb a big boy or no?
I think he's a big boy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. This is kind of like DeMarcus Ware once said, this is where you separate the kids from the little boys.
Yeah, exactly.
This is one of those types of games.
I miss DeMarcus so much. He used to just say things, and you're like, what? Me and him have that in common, you know?
Yeah, it was like a kindred
exactly.
spirit up
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Good energy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's half the battle.
Bill, I'm excited for this game. Another primetime opportunity, another opportunity for the Broncos to prove themselves, show the country what they're all about.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a really good chance to take a step forward here and be closer to the type of football they want to be playing.
Yeah. What do you think about Jerry Jeudy's status in this one? I don't know if your friend Kyle has any information on that, but if
You're like anti-reports that provide information, huh?
No, I love reports.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering.
I haven't seen anything on Jerry Jeudy.
Okay.
They
say day to day.
Yeah. Obviously, the Broncos will
need
be
him
in much better shape with Jerry Jeudy. I do think with KJ back, we'll see if he plays or not, but was limited on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think so. It seems like there's a decent chance he'll play. That helps just in terms of the way it stresses the defense. But they need Jerry. They're going to need Greg Dulcich to do something when he comes back in a few weeks.
They're going to need some weapons for him.
Playmakers, yeah.
Because, I don't know if you heard this, but I heard that inside the huddle against the Texans, some of what was going on was just like, Cortland, get open, let's ride. And then they would go.
On 3rd and 16, that's exactly what he did.
Exactly. It sounds short, like Cortland, get open, let's ride, but it took a long time.
Well, I mean, I kind of do they have to introduce themselves in the huddle, some of these guys?
Some of them. That has happened in NFL games before.
Where they've introduced themselves?
Yeah, like a left tackle who just joined the team. There's an injury. He has to come into the game. And then a quarterback is like, I didn't know him until inside the huddle.
Fact check.
I feel like I've heard that before.
That's a tricky one to fact check.
But
I think, you're like, I think I heard that. That means it's true.
Yeah, maybe I heard that at some point, I think.
At least.
So it is true. I do think at some point they're going to need some other weapon to step up, whether it's Albert O, KJ Hamler this week. If Jerry Jeudy can go, that's going to be huge because I don't think another receiver had more than 2 catches.
That's correct. Fact check, yes.
Fact check, correct.
I was able to find it. It was Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was the left tackle the Browns brought in. Josh Johnson, as it was.
As it were.
Whatever.
Ooh, wow. The fact checker becomes the checkee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Joe Thomas said, I'm Joe Thomas. I'm your left tackle. Nice to meet you.
Crazy.
Great story.
Crazy. Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame finalist.
That's not true.
Or going to be he made it to this. He's something. The Hall of Fame.
He's nominated.
Nominated. There you go.
Yeah. That's kind of a nice segue, Phil, to get closer to shout-outs.
Oh, do you want to just get to that?
We could.
Let's do it. That was nice.
Voicemail first, maybe.
Okay. All right. Let's get to a voicemail. We got a few this week. 300, I think.
Yeah. I think that's what we said.
Was it 500 or 300, Swanson?
I don't remember now.
It's mandatory that you guys listen to me. I forget how many voicemails we said we had, but we're going to play one. Guess who it's from?
Bronco Batman.
What is up, guys? This is Bronco Batman here. Excited we got the win. We got us a W. It's one of those W's like a toddler was drawn with a broken crayon, and you got to squint your eyes just right, and it looks like a W. That's what it was, an ugly W. But a win's a win. I'm happy we got the win. The crowd was crazy with the counting down with the numbers. That was pretty awesome, actually. But you still see some of the inconsistencies of the coaching and the play calling. It's still not there. I am definitely not giving up on Coach Hackett or any of the other guys just yet. It's still early, but we gotta get together, and especially the penalties are killing us. Double digits in both games so far. That's crazy. We got to get that under control. But hey, we got us a win. Let's play San Francisco at home. Let's get another W. Maybe a kindergartner or a first grader is drawing this W next time, which is a little bit neater, nicer, and prettier. But hey, I'll take it. Let's move on. Love your show. Bronco Batman out.
Thank you very much, Broncos Batman.
Bronco Batman.
Swanson, let's hear yours.
Bronco Batman.
Yeah. We appreciate the voicemail.
Yeah.
Still, guys, faith in Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
Can't lose the faith.
It was a little bit like a kindergartner scribbling with a crayon.
Yeah, does he want it neater this week?
I
think, he said that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Nice, clean W.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes you eat a W sandwich.
That's right.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah. I saw Bradley Chubb do that after the game
Did you?
against the Texans. Yeah.
Huh.
Walking into the locker room, he had a W.
He ate the
sandwich.
W?
Yeah.
He put it between bread, or what do you do?
No, because he's trying to cut carbs.
Oh, got a lettuce wrap?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You don't need those empty calories.
Sometimes I'll walk by your desk and you're just kind of there like drawing with a crayon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm doing a nice picture.
That's
I thought
Swanson.
that was me.
Well, you're
That's
trying
Swanson.
to match Swanson. Swanson would never just
And
like a
when you're walking by
child.
my desk, does that mean you're not typing at that time, or what does it mean?
I'm glad that you asked. I actually have a harness that has my laptop on it. It's like a table, so I can walk and type at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, it's a little bit dangerous, but
That is dangerous. Is it kind of like one of those steady cams that you see, Sunday Night Football, the touchdown, and then the guy runs out there, he's got that big harness?
it's kind of like a baby Bjorn.
A baby Bjorn?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the computer's in there, and then I type.
What's a baby Bjorn? If some people...
That's one of those things that you like swaddle the baby to you,
Oh, got it.
But I
wrap 'em-
swaddle my
you-
laptop.
You,
and then I just type.
that's like a body wrap where
think
you keep
so,
them
yeah.
close? Oh, got it. But it's at a distance
Don't you
where it's
have a
comfortable.
child?
I do, yeah.
But you're not familiar with the Bjorn.
Well, you're just using a lot of words then. Like, I think that I'm not sure if you know what they mean. So, like a swaddle, like swaddling, you wrap your
Yeah, of
baby up
course.
tight to go to bed to take a nap.
Yeah.
That's a swaddle.
Yeah, I swaddle the laptop, but I
It
swaddle
goes to sleep or no?
No, it doesn't go to sleep.
You don't just swaddle your kid and then just let him be wrapped up tight.
do whatever you want.
Yeah, you could really do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
they don't have a choice.
That's true. That's true. Well, you're the authorities in here when you have a kid, but Eric, how does somebody leave a voicemail?
Phil, I'm really glad you asked. You can call 707-NEUTRAL.
Yeah.
Leave a voicemail there. We'll play right on the air.
Is that Ben Swanson's cell phone number or no?
No, not quite.
Wouldn't it be weird if I answered it?
That
That would be a
mix it
shock,
up.
huh?
We would not get 300 or 500
No.
voicemails.
We wouldn't have any voicemails because he would pick up the phone. You don't get a voicemail.
Exactly. You would just have to recap it,
Yeah.
summarize.
Or you can leave an email at neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah, you can do that, huh?
Could be nice. You can contact us directly at Eric Delallo with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH, right on Twitter.
Yeah,
Non-traditional spellings.
non-traditional.
Or you can tweet at our friend Zach with a C's
Podcasts.
podcast account. He'll let us know.
Broncos Podcasts.
Podcasts.
That's a great account. Yeah, or you could just go on to the Broncos official YouTube page.
That's right.
Smash the subscribe. How do you do that? Kind of like Morse code.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, it sends a signal, says, okay, I'm subscribed.
Right.
And then you make a nice little comment there.
Could be really good.
Yeah. We read all the comments.
We do. We'll read them right here on the air, Phil.
Typically, Eric will have a QZ on.
Yep.
Try to have a QZ on, especially a rainy day.
I gave mine to Swanson. He didn't have a raincoat.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
He didn't
a
have a
lie.
raincoat, so you gave him a
I'll
QZ.
sue you for libel.
Nice. Does that offend you? That damages your...
Yes.
Yeah.
Implying that I don't have a QZ.
Yeah, so that those are ways that you can get involved. Or you could just have some face-to-face contact with us on Mondays, 5:30 to about 6:15.
At Breckenridge Brewery's farmhouse, making it a farm home
Yeah, it's almost a farm home.
in Littleton off Santa Fe and Brewery Lane.
Brewery Lane.
Right?
Why do I say around 6:15?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Could
it's
we also
because if
say
there's...
around 5:30?
Yeah, no, so it's around
Around
5:30.
5:30, around
That one's definitely true, around 5:30.
Yeah.
But around 6:15, that's because if the conversation is so heated, we can't stop.
Right.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just don't stop reading questions.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing here?
and you have a hard out.
Yep.
Your agent
I gotta
negotiated
go. I gotta
that.
get to the next show.
Your agent negotiated the hard out.
Yep.
Mine dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any shout outs, Phil?
Yeah. Who should we shout out?
Well, we could shout out some Broncos. You mentioned
11 former Broncos
11 former
nominated. Let's hear all 11 from you right now.
oh boy, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, let's see how close you can get.
Okay.
Maybe Ben Swanson can fill in a couple of guys.
Dre Bly.
Yep. Simeon Rice.
Are you gonna let me do it? Or
Oh,
no?
I'm sorry.
Simeon Rice, DeMarcus Ware, Tom Nalen, Mark Schlereth,
Shalareth.
right? Rod Smith, Al Wilson, Jason Elam. Gosh, this is harder than I thought. Neil Smith. Oh, I'm so close.
Yeah.
Any running backs? Maybe another linebacker. This is really good podcast.
Good podcasting. Did you say Tom Nalen?
I think I did.
Oh, you did. You said
And
that.
Schlereth.
Yeah.
Schlereth.
I'll give you the positions: wide receiver
Oh.
and a defensive lineman / linebacker.
Oh,
Or no, wait, sorry,
Wes Welker.
Wes Welker.
linebacker / DB.
Oh, this is the one that I.
This,
I'm
I
not,
believe
I'm not
Ben
going to get this.
Swanson made an error.
I'm not going to get this
Yeah.
last one.
Yeah, who is it?
Seth Joyner.
That's Joyner, classic
Joyner.
Bronco.
Yep. So there we go. That's
Congratulations to all of them being
Congratulations.
nominated. That's the first step in the process, really.
First step. Next, you become a semifinalist, then a finalist, then you're voted on for induction. We'd think DeMarcus Ware should have a nice chance.
Like the stove? Like an induction stove?
I guess so.
Do you get nominated for induction? Is that how that works? Or you get elected?
You get elected, but you're being nominated for induction into the.
Oh. Okay. Any other shout outs?
Oh, Liz Gerald's, of course.
Of course, yeah. The
Lot of
Broncos
community.
Taste of the Broncos this
The
week.
Broncos really nice. Our own Ellie Kinney
Uh-huh.
had a nice article.
DJ Jones.
Uh-huh.
What are you going to tell him about this story?
No, I was going to let him, but you can find it on denverbroncos.com.
Oh,
A couple of stories about Taste of the Broncos.
yeah.
Really nice.
DJ Jones, does he have a barbecue?
I think
What
his
is it?
dad does.
Oh, his dad does. Oh, got it.
A little bit
Sauce?
confusing.
Yeah, is there sauce or no sauce?
There is sauce. No juice, but a lot
Nathaniel
of sauce.
Hackett, big fan of this or no?
I don't know.
Sauce.
Juice.
Oh, he likes juice.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to have to work on some
You're gonna have to
barbecue
work it out.
juice. Yeah.
We need to wrap
Swanson,
Anybody
fact
else?
check.
We need to,
I was going to say they also did some voter registration,
That's nice. Yeah.
which is obviously very important. Bradley Chubb, an important cause to him and his mom.
That's right.
And you
Randy
know,
Gregory registered to vote for the first time. Thought that was
That's
very
big,
cool.
yeah. of course, the midterm election's coming up in
You were
November.
like, just go register to vote. And he was like, okay.
That's what I told him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say today you could take
You
a
give him
break.
to-do list every
Take
day.
a break from getting after the quarterback.
But go register to vote.
Go register to vote,
Okay.
which is important. We encourage all of NZ Nation to go register to vote.
Of course. You got to exercise your
You play a role in a democracy,
yes.
so you got to do that. Any other shout outs? I'm trying to think about what else happened in the sports world.
I don't think
Shout
so.
out to the Aces, Las Vegas, WNBA champs.
Congrats to them.
Swanson?
Did
Kelsey
you give a
Plum is
shout
on
out
the
to Federer?
Oh, yeah. His final match is on Friday night. Doubles. He's going to play doubles with Rafa. That's a nice way to go
Why
out.
did you do a little hand?
Rafa, because they're, this is probably his number one adversary throughout his career. And now it's just so beautiful. It's poetic, really, that he's going to go out.
Classic adversary.
Yeah. Laver Cup. So this is a big deal.
Rod Waver.
Yeah.
Congrats to Raj.
Yeah. Raj, of course, my favorite tennis player of all time.
Yeah.
Just so smooth on the court.
I like
there.
Curious.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah, a little bit of edge, huh? You like that? Smash the racket. Oftentimes after an episode, you just break the microphone. Yeah, you just smash the microphone. We got a mic budget
Yeah.
because you get so upset.
Did I smashed at different mics. I didn't even use that one. But it's kind of like
Yeah.
he takes multiple rackets out.
I just had another shout out. I forgot. Oh, shout out to my guy, Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Became the highest paid player in the NHL. You got a take on that, Eric? Huh? You want to rile me up a little
Not
bit?
for this show, I don't.
Yeah, that's a congratulations
Wait for
to the
our Avs
Avs.
podcast.
He says he wants to be the Avs for life. And of course, we saw the Stanley Cup last week here.
Didn't Vaughn say that?
It's a different sport, different dynamic, different way it all works. But the Stanley Cup made an appearance at the Broncos facility.
Yeah, that was great.
It's pretty cool.
Swanson got a little picture.
Swanson, you take some photos?
We actually put
Yeah,
Swanson
yeah.
inside the cup at the top.
At the top or like underneath?
No, like we put him in the little bowl thing.
Was it still dented? Yes or no?
Yes. I check yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Anything else to get to here?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, like we've mentioned several times, we'll be live on Monday from Breckenridge Brewery, 5:30 to 6:15.
That's right.
And that'll also be streamed live on the Broncos official YouTube page. We'll have the whole game broken down between the Broncos and 49ers, a big one on Sunday Night Football. Until then, for Ben Swanson and Eric Dalala, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.